I didn't go to Harvard, but that's not gonna stop me from wearing this shirt.
The Asma Show.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to make another video regarding being an English major or graduating with an English degree. There was a comment that I got I think a week ago of someone asking me to talk about why I became an English major, so I decided to make another video kind of discussing about it. Anyways, let's get started. I was a pretty good kid when it came to doing well in school. I would pretty much get straight A's in school, and when I started college, I was really pushed into becoming a doctor. So I know that's the stereotypical first generation story that a lot of kids have, especially if you're children of immigrant parents. We're always pushed into medicine, especially if you're a woman. I don't know about your families, but my mom and my dad would really push me to go into medicine. So I believed it. I got sucked right in, even though I was never passionate about science in general. Biology, chemistry, physics, I wasn't really good in science, and even though I would do well in those classes, I was never really passionate about it. So then one day, I think it was freshman year of college, I took a biology course at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I didn't have a car and I was a commuter, so I did not live on campus. So then I had to wake up at like 5 in the morning, take a bus at 6 a.m, arrive like 7 something, and the class was packed. So I went to the University of Minnesota, and most of my classes were big lecture courses, and I think there were 200 or 300 students in that class. It was a huge auditorium, and I just remember thinking, I can't do this. And in that same semester, I took Intro to Chemistry, and I did not do well. So what happened was that year, it really hit me like a truck. I was really pushing to force myself into a field that I didn't even know if I wanted to do. So I wanted to make my parents proud, and instead of looking into the field itself, I was very overwhelmed with school, with college, trying to get used to my schedule, to taking the bus. Because I didn't have a car, it made things a lot harder. I also needed money for school, like for food. So I was very overwhelmed, and I spent most of freshman year trying to survive. By the time sophomore year came around, I was very miserable. I was very stressed out in school. I was very unhappy, and I just felt like I was dumb because I was pushing myself into classes that I was not passionate about and I did not do well in. So I took general chemistry and I barely passed that class. I dropped Intro to Chemistry, took it again, got a C. Then I ended up taking general chemistry, and I did not do well in that class either. But anyways, that sophomore year, I was very upset and very frustrated. I felt like I was pushed into a corner, and I started to learn more about medicine, about pre-med, and I wanted to see if I really wanted to go into this field. So I'd go to a lot of after class events like at 5 p.m. and there were a long line of like 6 to 8 medical students that got accepted into the University of Minnesota. And after the whole like Q&A session, we were allowed to go up to the front and ask these medical students, hey, what did you like about being in your medical school, and what did you major in? And this is what really struck me. I went to 2 events, so I'll talk about the first one. The first one, I walked up to one guy and he said, oh, I majored in Spanish. And he was such a nice guy. And he was like, I majored in Spanish. I minored in, I don't even remember what he minored in, but I think it was technical communication or just communication. And when I was talking to him, he just like, there was something about like being pushed into medicine that really made me realize that I was just pushing myself to do something that I was just blindly running to just for validation, but I could see that he genuinely wanted to go into medicine. The next event I went to, I talked to 3 doctors, physicians. There was one radiologist. The second guy, I think he was a general surgeon. It was a really great event. We were asking them a lot of questions. And there was one lady, there was one doctor that was a single mother, and she got into medical school. And what really struck me was that all 3 of those doctors did not go into medicine right away. They were never interested in medicine. And one doctor, I think it was the general surgeon, he was actually a teacher before he became a doctor. The radiologist, she was actually an accountant before she became a doctor. And the third person, the single mother, she was basically a single mother taking care of her kids before she went into medicine. And that made me realize that a lot of people who go into medicine, they don't have to find that career right away. Because a lot of times we idealize medicine and be like, oh, we want to help people, and really push ourselves to go into it. And that's when I realized, like, even if I am trying to push myself into this field, I don't feel like it's right. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to back off from pre-med and just stop. And then I was one of those, you know, usual kids that stopped going into pre-med. And then what happened was I ended up going right into the English department because I knew deep down that one skill that I've always wanted to become better at was reading and writing and communication. It was like the end of sophomore year and it was a lot of pressure, and I just knew that deep down I wanted to go do English. Like, it's really hard to explain, because if my advice to you guys is that if you ever are like struggling to choose your major, you won't know 100% if that's the perfect major for you, but I do recommend choosing one that highlights the skills that you want to learn. So when I majored in English, the reason why I don't regret it is because I feel like this major has really helped me like enhance the skills that I was already really good at. So I've always liked to read and write and communicate to people, but I feel like majoring in English really helped me communicate better. I honestly think that my English degree really helps me in many ways, especially when it comes to this YouTube channel. So like when it comes to like coming out with scripts, writing ideas, editing, a lot of things that I learned from writing essays and editing essays and peer reviewing and all that stuff, I apply it to things in my everyday life. So when I tell people that I majored in English, what I found really fascinating is that in college, people would literally drop everything to come up to me and ask me why I majored in English. Oh, why did you major in English? Because it's really sad, but a lot of children of immigrant parents are pushed into majors that they're not passionate about because they're taught that STEM equals success. And there's nothing wrong with STEM. I'm trying to get into IT right now, and I am just like really trying to push to get into that field. But what I found really interesting is that when I was still a pre-med student and I majored in English, I was the only like liberal arts major in the entire room. So then there was like one pre-med student that was organizing the event. She literally made a beeline towards me and she asked me like, oh my god, hey, you're Asma Goss, right? And I was like, yeah. And then she said, yeah, I saw your name and you majored in English. Why? That's so fascinating. So it's like, what's funny is like whenever I tell people that I major in English, it really opens people's like ears. They get excited like, oh, why did you major in English? So what I find really funny is that even though people always try to knock down my degree, they're the same people that really struggle to write emails, write essays, communicate with others. And I feel like English and communications and technical communication and what other degrees, art and music, there's a lot of degrees where people look down and mock and be like, oh, you can't get a job, nah, nah, nah. But then they are the same people that would rather like eat rocks than write an email, or really struggle to write a dissertation for their PhD, or they really struggle with peer reviewing other people's stuff. They really struggle when it comes to just the communication, either written or verbal. I don't know if I'm answering my commenter's question when it comes to like why I majored in English, but basically I majored in English because I wanted to. If there's only one thing that I could do to go back in time, and obviously I can't go back in time, but I really wish that I was never pushed into medicine in the first place. I honestly wish that I was pushed into exploring different fields like IT, because now I'm trying to pursue IT. I really like the business IT aspect of, you know, careers, and what is really funny is that I never considered IT until after I graduated college. Like my parents and a lot of other immigrant parents, is that when they see a kid that does well in school, the first thing they do is push them into medicine to become a doctor. But what I really find frustrating about that is that just because a kid does well in school does not mean they automatically have to become a doctor. Now again, my parents worked really hard to come to this country, so I can't blame them for pushing me to go into medicine. But if you are a parent and you see that your kid does well in math, so I was good at math. I tested out of taking any math courses. So my entire 4 years of college, I did not take math, because in high school, I took AP Calculus and I passed that AP test. So I got college credit and then I passed out of math. But my parents, instead of thinking like, oh, she's really good at math, she's really good at literature, reading, writing, comprehension, grammar, and she's good at math, they didn't think IT. They went straight to medicine. So if you are a parent and you want your kid to go pursue STEM, anything related to science, technology, engineering, and math, if your kid is good at math and your kid is good in like reading and literature and stuff, I would recommend pushing them into business and IT, because I feel like it's also like a gender thing. I was pushed into medicine because it's a healing art, it's very like helping others. But I feel like if more women, especially ones who are good at math and reading and writing, are pushed into IT, they would have very fulfilling careers in life. If you're watching this video and you want to major in English, I definitely recommend it. It's only like 35 credits out of like 120. Also, if you want to major in English, I'd recommend that if you are interested in business or IT, I would recommend minoring in something useful like finances or computer science. If I could go back to college and do it all over again, I would have majored in English. I would have kept the same major, but I would have minored in computer science. But you know, it's the knowledge that I have now as an adult, as a grown adult that graduated college. I wish that I was pushed into IT, but you know, we learn as we go. I can't sit and regret my college life, but I don't regret my major. Now, if you're a person that's majoring in biology just because you're scared and you just want to major in it because you think it would get you a better job, no. A lot of times people get better jobs based on the internships and the work experience that they have. And if you are majoring in biology just because you want to get into medical school, there has been a study, I don't know if it was a long time ago, but it was actually proven that the most popular degrees that get into medical school is art and music. So what's really funny is like a lot of students really push themselves to like do the basic stuff. Like if you want to get into law school, they major in political science. They want to get into IT, they major in computer science. If they want to get into medicine, they major in biology or genetics or chemistry, and they do the very basic duh kind of thing. But if you're someone that wants to pursue graduate school in any way, I recommend just majoring in a subject that you want to become better at, like a skill that you want to do. If you just want to major in English because you just want to and you feel like those are the skills that you want to learn in life and you want to become better at, I recommend it. Like I meet so many people that come up to me, and especially I'm talking about children of immigrant parents or first generation kids. They always come up to me and they're like, oh, you're so lucky that you got to major in English, you're so lucky. My parents would not fund my education if I didn't major in, and then insert like science major. Like they literally tell me like, oh, I had to major in chemistry because if I didn't, my parents would not support me, they would be mad at me. And what I find, I'm very grateful that I have parents that value liberal arts. My parents weren't happy in the very beginning when I majored in English, if I'm going to be honest, but after a few months they got accustomed to the idea. And it is really hard to put your foot down in front of your parents, because my parents didn't know any better. They really pushed me to go into medicine because they really thought that that was the best career path for me. So I can't look back in time and regret the way they pushed me into this field. But I really hope that you're able to communicate with your parents if you're trying to pursue English, because at the end of the day, like years from now, you don't want to look back and regret the major that you did. Now, if you majored in something and you're not happy with it, I don't want you to sit and regret what happened in the past. Again, I could sit and regret and be angry that I was not introduced into IT and I was not left alone, and I could sit and be bitter that I was pushed into medicine, but I feel like it happened for a reason, and I'm very happy that I can say with confidence now that I'm not interested in that field. Knowledge is forever, so if you really want to go back to school, I've seen lots of grown adults going back to school to major in English. I know this video kind of sounds like, do your passion, do what you love, and there's always those people in the comments that are like, that's just an idealistic view of life, you shouldn't pursue what you love, that doesn't pay the bills. And at the end of the day, I feel like either way there's a risk. I'd say with first generation kids and children of immigrant parents, we are pushed into this narrative that creative fields are not for us, that we are not fortunate enough to do it, we don't have the luxury to pursue creative fields. But we can see, especially during the pandemic, how many kids in high school, young adults, older adults, literally starting businesses that make millions off of the creative skills that they have. So even though I feel sorry if you have parents that are very strict on what you want to major in, I do want to make it very clear that if your parents really think that creative fields are not good and they try to use your best friend's mom's cousin's daughter as an excuse, like, oh, she pursued arts and she failed, well, you could use the same logic when it comes to anyone pursuing STEM. Well, This guy over here, Muhammad, he tried to get into medical school like 4 times and he didn't get accepted. You could use the same logic. So I feel like when it comes to parents not supporting creative fields, I understand where the fear is. They genuinely want the best for you, but at the same time it's really important to push this idea like, okay, I know mom, dad, I know you're scared, but I would rather push myself to take the risk to do this than take the risk to do something I don't care about. You know what I mean? Just ask yourself, what career are you planning to do in life, and what are your options? Always have plans. So my plans were either going to PhD. I was interested in going to a graduate program for English literature. I wanted to get a PhD. Once I did more research after college, I dropped it. And then my next plan was to become a clinical psychologist. And after that, I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. Then I was interested in teaching. So then after teaching, I was like, nah, I don't like teaching. So then it's really important that even though you're still a young adult, I feel like we put way too much pressure on ourselves to become better. We want to become millionaires at such a young age. Like when I graduated college at 21, I was putting so much pressure on myself, and it got to the point where I was just like, oh, I have to make millions before 25. And that's just not a realistic idea to have when it comes to college and majoring. And yeah, that's my advice. I honestly think that as long as you keep moving forward, at the end of the day, people can look down on you, they can make fun of you, but at the end of the day, your life is your life. And if the idea of going into medical school makes you sick to your stomach, don't pursue it because your parents tell you to, you know? Don't pursue law school because your parents told you to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people can look down on you and laugh at you for trying to explore your options, but then those same people are going to have midlife crises because they refuse to do the work. Anyways, that's all I have in this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And leave a comment below if you have any other topics you want me to cover when it comes to college. And I'm going to do another video related to commuting. But yeah, that's all I have to say, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.